gentlemen, to all my grown folk out there, I want to thank you guys for watching, tuning in, subscribe. Let's get right into it. This one is definitely sad. It makes you angry. All kind of different emotions hit, right? Let's get right into it. So the victim is Patrice Wilson, and she was killed, unfortunately, by her son's father. So we're going to touch on a little bit of everything. We're going to touch on domestic violence. We're going to touch on relationships. This one hit home. You know how things happen and you feel a type of way, but when you can relate even more to the circumstance, we all know the saying when things hit close to home. This young lady was a nurse just finishing her 12-hour night shift, and she was actually kidnapped at gunpoint, forced into a vehicle here in Detroit, and then she was found, I believe, the next day in the trunk, deceased. Again, the person who did this to her, she shared a child with. This man right here, Jameer Miller. I think he was in his early 30s and she was in her late 20s. They had a 7-year-old son. And he decided to take her life. And again, this happened Mother's Day weekend. So this story rocked Detroit. Everybody's talking about it. If you haven't heard it in your local area, you can easily find the article. But for me personally, in my community, the nursing community, the healthcare community, this is a big one that everybody was talking about. It made us cry and come together and shed some tears and just mourn together, because I've been that nurse, coming and going all funny hours at night, working night shifts. I actually finally put my foot down and said I refuse to work any more night shifts. But, this young lady was taken from her son. And also, now the father, he ended up turning himself in. He went and they had so much heat on him, different cities, different counties, because he kidnapped her from Detroit, but then he took her body to, I believe, Novi, Michigan. So some apartment complex, I don't know if that's where she lived, but that's where the investigators found her. So everybody was on his head this past weekend. And he ended up turning himself in with his lawyer. But they say that when on the surveillance camera, when he abducted her, he had on a blonde wig. So we know he was definitely in his feelings. So deep in my feelings. And I know men have feelings, relationships, things happen. We don't know all the details. We don't know what happened. This is the little bit of information because, again, this story is not even a week old. So I want to offer my condolences to the Wilson family, losing a child, dying at such a young age, 29. Then she got a 7-year-old son who's left without his mother. And now his father, is obviously going to do some time. And so, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I don't know a lot about domestic violence. I've never really experienced a lot of it. My parents, I just haven't been around it a lot, but I know it exists, but it's just not something that I've really been around. So it's out of sight, out of mind. But when this story hit, it just kind of, like I said, it shocked me because I'm in a lot of healthcare groups, my occupation, and it's all everybody was talking about. It just really shook us all to see this, this beautiful young lady. When I look at her, even though I don't think we necessarily resemble each other, but when I look at her, I see me. I see, a young woman of color, about her career, her business. Nursing school ain't no joke. And for her to make it this far, to be killed by somebody who she once had a romantic relationship with, this is very devastating. And again, there hasn't been any reason to why the man took her life. Could you imagine going to work, the usual, okay, I'll be back, and then you never come back. Your children are just left. This, like I said, this story right here, this one was hard. I definitely spent my weekend constantly looking at her picture because, I don't know. I'm the type of person, from one black woman to another black woman or black man, we all one, the way I see things as far as the community. So if you hurt, I hurt. Something happened to you, it happened to us all. And that's the way it used to be. I know very few of us still think that way. But I haven't given up hope on my people, which is, what this channel is all about. Grown people just talking about different things that go on, but ultimately coming back to us building together, because all we have is each other, So this one, now we got another brother who gonna be locked up, and that, the system, the way it's designed, that's, hook, line, and sinker. That's what they want. Now we got another young man who gonna grow up without a father figure in his life. Just the trickle down effect of things like this. But I also wanted to add another caveat. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but I did read this when I was doing my research. This man here, they're saying that he's also affiliated with another missing woman here locally in the Detroit area. Some woman who went missing back in 2011. And they're saying he got a rap sheet. Like he already was some type of criminal or whatever. And, we talk about this type of stuff all the time in these spaces on social media, vetting people and getting to know people before you procreate with them. And, just staying away from people who don't have the same values that you may share, so that you don't end up in situations like this. So I got it from a reputable source, so I'm going to roll with it. He's alleged to have something to do with hurting multiple other people. But let me show y'all this one too. This all of this jumped off this weekend. Look at this article. Now, I know y'all probably heard about this one. This one was big this weekend too. Texas man fatally shoots ex after she got an abortion. Now, in this case, the actual murder happened right here at this gas station in this article. But basically, this woman went out of state to get an abortion. And I guess the man didn't know her, didn't approve of it. And he ended up killing her. Shot her multiple times right then and there. It's like, in today's day and time with these relationships, it's like, you got to quit playing with people. You got to be serious. If you tell somebody something and y'all got some kind of agreement or understanding, you better be for real and quit playing with people. Playing with people's hearts, playing with people's emotions, because some people willing to throw it all away. Some people don't even think that next step, the repercussions of said action. Some people are about that life, if you will. You cannot play with people. And I had to learn this too, being in serious committed relationships. Some people, they love hard and they not playing certain games. Some, heard the saying, what is it? Love me. I can't think of the saying that I'm trying to express, but you know how some people are literally like death do us part. We'll put it that way. Some people are just very, I don't want to say emotional, but I think men are a little more emotional than they were in the past. But I think men are kind of, and I'm not defending, I'm not victim shaming, but I just think that the day and time we live in, men are getting tired. Something has happened in the atmosphere. A switch has been flipped, and men are like, we want our voices heard. We have feelings. Nobody cares about our feelings. And I guess just to put a word on it, people feel like men are being more emotional. And we're seeing a lot more domestic violence. This was all in one weekend, and this is just these two. It was so many articles from the past weekend about domestic violence. I'm like, there's no way I can cover all of this. But, over here, as far as domestic violence and people hurting each other, putting their hands on each other, no.
I don't fuck with you.
We don't do that. We don't do that over here. But what I'm trying to say is I do understand both sides of the coin. I do understand that none of this is justifiable. 2 women being killed. But I do understand men saying, hey, we have a voice. We're not being heard. We love, we get into these commitments and relationships and then we get shitted on. Our thoughts, our opinions, our feelings are not taken into consideration and they're tired of it. But again, none of that condones murder. But I'm just saying, let's just look at the other side of the coin with this particular case right here. You know, how do you go terminate a pregnancy, you know, without the other person consent wise? You know, it's just a lot when you're dealing with these relationships. And then like the first story that I covered, you know, they have a 7-year-old. So they've been co-parenting or in and out of a relationship. Something been going on for all these years. And then all of a sudden, this man kidnaps her and kills her. I just think it's more to it. Y'all feel what I'm saying? I just think it's a little more, and it's always more to relationships. We'll never know everything, you know, and it's not even wise to put all your business on social media. But I'm just trying to say I think it's more to it than men just snapping, you know, men just going crazy. I think there's a buildup here, and we're starting to see, you know, men like we're getting tired of being at the bottom of society. Because we're not all of these things that people say. But the first story that I brought out, you know, this guy, I don't even think that there is a no, you know, backing him or justification. He basically was a career criminal, they were saying in his case. But I was speaking on men, you know, in totality of men having a voice, being able to say, hey, I love this woman, I cared about her, and she left me or she played me, she cheated on me. And people actually giving a dang, because it seems like people just don't care. They only care when it comes to women. So again, we're not victim shaming or anything like that. I just think that when it comes to relationships, you know, it's always a little more to it. You know, things are a little deeper with the why and what happened and things like that. So again, condolences to the Patrice Wilson family, the nursing community here in Detroit. You know, we lost someone. I didn't know her personally, but just to see the surveillance footage and to read about what happened to her was very devastating for me and my colleagues. And I'm pretty sure, you know, anybody who read the story, you know, a 29-year-old losing a life like that, you know, they found her body in the trunk. Like, but anyway, so yeah, it was her son's father. So we'll, I'm sure we'll get an update by being a local story, you know, and find out exactly what took place, what's his reasoning, you know, not that it's even really a reason when it wasn't provoked. It wasn't like it was self-defense, but, you know, I'm gonna be honest, I am curious to why, to what would make you want to kill your son's mother, Mother's Day weekend. So you guys leave me a comment, let me know what you think about the story, if you know more about this story and why this man killed his son's mother, or the other story I covered with the Texas abortion, you know, what the backstory was on that one. And as always, thank y'all for coming through. I appreciate the love and support. Like, subscribe, talk your shit. We'll catch you in the next one.